Hello all, welcome to the session on examples for looping statements in C language. Okay, let's read the problem statement, understand it properly, then we can start with the coding, right? The problem statement goes like this. Radha has bought 5 books for reference to prepare for her semester exams. She has studied in mathematics course that the factorial of n items gives the number of ways that she can arrange the n items. And Radha would like to know in how many ways she can arrange the 5 books that she has bought. Okay. The following are the requirements to solve the problem. So number of books has to be captured. Say for example n. N represents the number of books. Now if she has taken 3 books, that is n value is 3. What is that you need to find out is these 3 books. Let's assume book 1, book 2 and book 3. So these 3 books, in how many different ways they can be arranged. Okay, they can be stored. That is what we need to find out. So to know in how many ways these 3 books are arranged, if we calculate the 3 factorial, then it will give us the number of ways in which those 3 books can be arranged. So n books can be arranged in n factorial number of ways. Okay, in n factorial ways they can be arranged. So the book should be arranged starting from the first book and then the second book and so on. Finally, the total number of ways in which her books can be arranged should be displayed, right? So this is what is the problem statement that we have. Okay, so now with this problem statement, let's start with the implementation part. So before we start with the implementation part, a small theory on this. Okay, so what is that we need to find out? Let's assume n value is 3. That means she has purchased 3 books. Which are those 3 books? B1, B2 and B3. These are the 3 books she has purchased. Now these 3 books, in how many ways they can be arranged? Okay, that is what we need to find out. Similarly, as we discussed, n factorial, you can arrange these 3 books in 3 factorial ways. Okay, and you know 3 factorial is nothing but 3 into 2 into 1, right? So now on the same way, one more example, if I take 5 factorial, that means if uh, Radha has purchased 5 books, okay, so that is nothing but n is equal to 5. So in how many ways these 5 books can be arranged? So let's take B1, B2, B3, B4, B5. In how many different ways this B1, B2, B3, B4, B5, book 1, book 2, book 3, book 4 and book 5 can be arranged? So the solution is very simple. You have to just calculate the 5 factorial. So whatever you get that 5 factorial, so that many number of ways these 5 books can be arranged. So 5 factorial is nothing but 5 into 4 into 3 into 2 into 1. So once we do this, we are going to get this answer as 120. So in 120 different ways, okay, 120 different ways, 5 books, okay, that is B1, B2, B3, B4 and B5. 5 books can be arranged. Okay, so this is what is the theory behind this. I'll just show you for n is equal to 3 also. First we'll do it for n is equal to 3 now. Okay, so let's take one way of arranging these 3 books B1, B2, B3 is, let's have B1, then we can have B2, then we can have B3. So this is one way of arranging the book, 3 books. Another way, let's keep B1 at the top, next let's keep B3, then we'll keep B2. Okay, this is another way of arranging the 3 books. Next, how can we arrange? Let's keep B2 at the top. Then we shall have B1. Then we shall have B3. Correct? This is another way of arranging those three books. One more way. Let's keep B2. Below that, let's keep B3. Then below that, let's keep B1. Let's keep B1. So this is another way of arranging it. Next, one more way of doing it. Let's keep B3 at the top, then B1 below that, then B2 below that. This is another way of arranging the three books. Next, we shall see B3 at the top, B2 at the bottom of B3, and the book 1 at the bottom of B2. So this is another way of arranging the three books. Okay. So now if you can see, there are totally 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 different ways in which you can arrange the three books. So there are no more possibilities. Okay, other than these 6, there are no more possibilities of arranging the three books. So this is nothing but n was 3, so nothing but 3 factorial. So 3 factorial is nothing but 3 into 2 into 1. So 3 to the 6, 6 into 1 is 1. Totally, you will be having 6 ways. Okay, so this is what is the problem statement. Right, now we'll just start with the coding part. Right, okay, so let's start. Okay, so I'm just declaring one variable n, and this is to take the input. N represents the number of books. Okay, or you can just take it as books also. Int books, comma, I'll take one more variable called as fact. Okay, this is to store the result. Okay, then what shall I do next? Printf. Now we should ask the user, okay, to enter the how many books. Okay, so enter the number of books that need to be arranged. That need to be arranged. Enter the number of books that needs to be arranged. So now we'll use scanf %d, comma, we'll store it in the variable books. Okay, so books is nothing but n value. So n, let's assume user has given it as 5. So that is nothing but books. So now this variable books holds 5. Okay, next time, what is that, or how we have to calculate the factorial of a number? So that is what we will see now. So usually, as you saw there, 3 factorial if I take is nothing but 3 into 2 into 1. Correct? So if I take 5 factorial, it is nothing but 5 into 4 into 3 into 2 into 1. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll be writing here just that part of the explanation. So 5 factorial is equal to 5 in 5 into 4 into 3 into 2 into 1. So this is what we need to do. So if you observe here, 5 into 4 into 3 into 2 is enough. Once you do this, whatever you get when you multiply it with 1, it will remain the same. Correct? So what I will do is, anyway, of course, there are a lot of ways of solving it. But what I will be doing here is, I will first take this 5, okay, and then I will multiply this 5 with 1. So once I multiply this 5 with 1, I will be getting it as 5. Okay, so this term and this term over. When I multiply, I get it as 5. Next, what I will do, I will take that 5. Okay, when I multiply, I got it as 5. This 5, I will now multiply it with 4. So once I multiply this 5 with 4, I'm going to get it as 20. 5 4s are 20. Okay, so just let me write it here. It is going to be 20. Next, this 20 I will take and multiply it with 3. Okay, so once 20 is multiplied with 3, I am going to get it as 60. Correct? So let me write it here, 60. Next, what I'll do, I'll take this 60 and multiply it with 2. Once I multiply the 60 with 2, I am going to get it as 120. So have I multiplied all the terms? Yes. Started with 5, multiplied it with 1. Then I multiplied the result with 4. I got 20. This 20 was multiplied with 3. I got 60. This 60 was multiplied with 2. I got 120. Okay. So this is how we will do the operation now, one by one at a time. So now accordingly, first thing, I have to multiply this 5 with 1. I told you, right? So you know this books value you entered by the user is 5. So 5 will be stored in the books. So first step, what I will do, I'll take this books and I will multiply it with 1. I have to multiply it with 1. So instead of writing it as 1, I will generalize it and I will write it as fact. Okay, and initially this fact here I am going to store 1 or initialize that fact with 1. So at this point, books into fact is nothing but 5. Okay, this is now nothing but 5 into 1, because books value is 5 and fact value is 1. So 5 into 1 is 1. So this 5 into 1, whatever I get on the right hand side, what I will do is I will store it into the same variable books. Okay. Okay. Let me not take this books into uh, fact. I will store this in fact. Okay. I'll update it and store it in the fact. Now what happens if you see this? Let me just clear. Okay. Books is 5. Then fact is 1. So this part 5 into 1 will be stored into the fact. Okay, it gets stored into fact, right? So now accordingly, I'll just take this variable, can write it here, fact. Okay, was initially how much? It was initially 1. Okay, now it has become 5. Right, now what I did is I first multiplied 5 and the term 1. I got it as 5. Now what is the next step? This 5 has to be multiplied with 4. Okay, so where that 5 is, it is in the fact now. So this fact has to be now multiplied with 4. So what I will do now is I'll just write this as books minus minus. So what happens when I do books minus minus? Initially, you know that books was how much? Books, actually the user entered it as 5. Correct. Books was entered as 5. So it was 5 initially. Now you have decremented that books by 1. Correct. Books minus minus. So what happens? It will now become 4. Okay, so now once this becomes 4, what I will do, I will repeat the same operation, that is fact is equal to books into fact. Okay, same operation. Now see here, the books value is how much? 4, and this will be multiplied with fact value. Fact value is how much? 5. So 4 into 5. So 4 into 5 is 20. So this 20 will be now stored into the fact. Okay. Now the fact value gets updated to 20. Right? Here, just clear this. Okay. So now, once you are done with that, what is the next step that needs to be done? We need to now, we got 20. So this term also done, multiplication done. Now this 20 needs to be multiplied with the which term? 3, correct? So how do I get that 3? In the books I have 4. What I'll do next operation? Books minus minus is what I'm going to do. So what happens when I do books minus minus? When I do books minus minus, the books value gets updated. So instead of 4, it is decremented by 1, so it will become 3. Okay, so once it becomes 3, what is the next step? I will multiply, I will repeat the same 2 steps. Which are those 2 steps? Fact is equal to, okay, just forgot to put this, not a problem. Okay, fact is equal to books into fact. Again, I will do the same operation. So now, if you see here, the books value is 3. This is our operand 1, and this is multiplied with fact. Fact is how much? 20. So 20 into 3 is 60. So this 60, which is on the right hand side, gets stored into the fact. Okay. So now let's update this. Fact now holds how much? 60. Okay. So you're done with this term also. Right. Now what is the next step that needs to be done? This 60 needs to be multiplied with the term, the last term, that is the 2. Correct? Yes. So how do I get that 2? Again, the same operation I will repeat here. That is books minus minus. So when I do this books minus minus, books is 3. Now it will become 2. Okay. Books will become 2. So you have books as 2 and you have fact as 60. So now what is the next operation that needs to be done? Again the same operation. Fact is equal to books into fact. Okay. So now just say this. What is the value of the books at this point? Books holds 2. So this is operand 1, which is 2. And this is going to be multiplied with the operand 2, that is the fact. Now fact is how much? 60. So 60 into 2. So 60 into 2 is 120. So this 120 gets stored into fact. Okay. So now let's update the value of the fact, which will now become 120. Okay. So now if you observe, this term also we have used. All the terms we have multiplied. So here we have to just end our operation. Okay. So now before we end it, let me just write this operation also. I do books minus minus. Let me do books minus minus. So now what happens if I do books minus minus? Books value will become 1. But do we have to multiply this 1 with 120? Not required, because first initially only we did 5 multiplied with 1. 2 terms were over. We got it as 5. I'm repeating. Then this 5 we took and multiplied with 4. We got 20. Correct? Then that is what I have written here. That is what is written here. Okay. So we got it as 20. Then this 20 we took and we multiplied it with 3. We got 60. Then this 60 is what we took and we multiplied it with 2. Okay. So that we got it as 120. So once we have got this 120, all the terms 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, they are all completely multiplied. Okay, so that is what is our final answer. So now here when you observe it, you can just see this. It started with 5 and it can go up to 2. Okay, it can go up to 2, this book's value, right? 1 not required. Okay, so keeping that in mind, right, just see this operation. Fact is equal to books into fact, books minus minus. Fact is equal to books into fact, books minus minus. So this is the operation. These two lines, these two statements, or these two instructions are repeated 4 times. Quite a lot of times. These are the operations that needs to be repeated. Okay, so wherever you have a set of instruction that needs to be repeated multiple times, you can use the looping statements. Okay, so how do we do that looping statements? So now what I will do, I'll just put these two operations, because these are the two operations that needs to be done multiple times. I will put them into the curly brackets. I'll just remove this, I'll clean this up. Okay, right, now these are the two operations that needs to be repeated multiple number of times. So now how many number of times, how many times this needs to be repeated, up to what point did this needs to be repeated? So there we have the condition for the while loop. So this is what is very important. Now if you observe here, okay, books, what I have written, books 5, 4, 3, 2. Up to here, if you do, it is enough. 1 is not required. Why? Because first we have to do this operation 5 into 1. Are we doing that 5 into 1 here? See, books value, initially it was, user entered it as 5. So books value is 5. And initially fact value you have given it as 1. So 5 into 1 was done. And it was stored into the fact, right? So that operation is initially done. So now you have to do it for up to 2. That is more than enough. So now this condition will be books greater than 1. So you can do it up to this condition, that is books greater than 1. Okay, so now let's see this before we end this. Okay, once again quickly to um, trace back or the recap the tracing. The user entered the books value as 5. Okay, so is this okay? The user has entered the books value as 5. Okay, now is 5 books value is how much? 5. Is 5 greater than 1? Yes. Enter inside, multiply books, that is 5 into fact, which is 1. So 5 into 1 is done. You got it as 5, right? So store that 5 again in the fact. So initially it was 1, now you have stored it as 5, right? Okay, then decrement the book by 1. So it was 5, decrement it will become 4. Okay, now it is 4, right? Then go back, check again, is 4 greater than book, because books is 4 now. So is 4 greater than 1? Yes, 4 is greater than 1. Enter inside the while loop. So what is there inside the while loop? Again, we have to do the same operation, that is books, which is nothing but 4. Okay, multiply it with 5. Okay, you get it as 5 for the 20. This 20 will be stored into fact. Okay, this 20 will be stored into fact. So now that is what we have here, 20, right? Then books minus minus. So now what happens? The books value will be decremented by 1. So now books become 3. Okay, books become 3. Fine. So now again go back. Is 3 greater than 1? 3 greater than 1? Yes. condition true, so enter inside the while loop. So what is there inside the while loop? Again books, which is 3 now, multiply it with the fact value. So fact value is 20. So now what happened? 20 into 3 is 60. That 60 will be stored into fact. Okay. So that is what we have here, 60. Okay. So let me, not a problem. This 60 done. Right. Now next line, books minus minus. So decrement the books value by 1. So what was it? It is books was 3, right? Now decrement it, it will become 2. Again go back from here, again you go back to the condition. Okay, so check the condition. Is 2 greater than 1? Yes. So enter inside the while. Okay, so what is there inside the while? Again books, which is nothing but 2 will be multiplied with the fact. So fact value is 60. So 60 into 2 is 120. So this 120 gets stored into fact. Okay, so that is what we have here, 120. Right? So I'll just put a mark like this. Once you are done with that, clear this. Okay, so once you are done with that, books minus minus. Okay, so now the books value will become how much? 1. Okay, so because you decremented it, now books value will become 1. When you go back again here, we'll check the condition. Is 1 greater than 1? No, condition fails. You have to come out of the while loop. So what is that job that remains once you come out of the while loop? To display the result. Now in which variable the result is stored? That is nothing but the result is 120. In which variable it is stored? The result is stored in the variable fact. So you have to display this variable. That's all. So now let me write that printf statement. Okay, the number of ways to arrange 5 to arrange books is percentage d comma comma fact. Okay, so this ends our program, right? So what we did is, this program is basically to find out the factorial of a number. Clear? So now the same problem has to be solved using the for loop. Okay, the logic remains the same, exactly the same. Only thing that changes is, instead of while loop, you will have to use the for loop. I hope you all know the for loop syntax. So assuming that you all know the for loop syntax, what I'll do is the same program, I will implement it using the for loop. Okay, so just reduce the size of this so that in this screen only I will be able to do it. So you can just compare how we are doing the operation using the for loop. How are we going to do this? Okay, let me just enlarge it a bit. Right, so this will be sufficient. Yes. So what I'll do is remove this. Okay, let me take the same code up to this point. Right, now this is what you did initially. This one is using while loop. Now what we are doing here now is using the for loop. Okay, so now instead of while we have to use a for loop. Now you know that for loop basically has 3 parts. Okay, initialization, condition, and modification or updation, the last part. So for we have first initialization separated by semicolon, condition separated by colon, again the modification or updation. This is how usually we write the for loop. Okay. Now if you observe here, the condition books greater than 1 will remain the same here also. This is the condition, test condition. We call that as a test condition. So here it remains the same, books greater than 1. And the last one is the modification or updation. So which variable we need to update for every iteration of the loop. Okay, if you observe here, for every iteration of the loop, we update the value of the books. We slowly, step by step, decrement the books. Okay, so what we do is books minus minus, we'll take it and we'll put it in the updation part. Okay, then what is the body of the for loop? What is that we do in this? Whenever the condition is true here, you are doing these two lines. Now out of these two lines, this books minus minus was already placed in the updation part of the for loop. So what remains is only fact is equal to books into fact. This is the only part that remains. So now that will become the body of the for loop. Okay, now come to this part, initialization part. Now if you see this program, initialization, basically the fact variable which is initialized to 1. Okay, now here in this program, if you have initialized the fact here, declared and initialized the fact as 1 here, you can just leave this blank, absolutely no problem. You will not get any errors. Syntactically it is correct. Okay, so what you need to understand is in the for loop, initialization part or the condition part or this updation part, they are not mandatory, they are optional. Okay, if you leave out all these three and still you run, your program will execute or your program will compile successfully without showing any syntax errors. Okay, but what is mandatory is this semicolon and this semicolon. These two semicolons should be there inside the brackets. That is mandatory. So now here fact is equal to 1. If you have initialized it here, you can absolutely leave this blank, no problem at all. But it doesn't look nice, sir. We want something here. If that is a scenario, what you can do is just remove this equals to 1 from here. Okay, don't initialize it, just declare that variable fact. Now here you initialize that fact to 1. Okay, then books greater than 1, then books minus minus. So like this you are going to convert the same program, same logic, but instead of while we will be using it with a for loop. Okay, so then the next remains the same. Once you are outside the for loop, condition of the for loop fails, will be outside that. Okay, we'll print it, we'll end the program. Okay, so this is the program to find that factorial of a number. In other way, to find the number of ways in which the books can be arranged. Okay, but here we have used the for loop. Okay, in this we have used the while loop. The logic remains the same, nothing changes. So quickly to show you the flow chart of this, we have it here. So now you have initially flow chart, start which is oval, and stop which is again oval, right? You know that we use oval for start and stop. Okay, next declare start is done. After start, declare n and fact. That is what we did in the code also. Then read n. See, don't get confused. The variable I have used there is books. Okay, so here in the flow chart I am using the variable as n. So how many books the user wants to arrange, that is nothing but n, or you can take the variable name as books, right? Okay, once you are done with that, initialize the fact to 1, and you have this rhombus which is basically used to check the condition. So n greater than 1, if it is true, you will come inside and you'll do fact is equal to fact into n and n minus minus. After doing this, you again go back, okay, to the condition, check the condition. If it is true, again enter inside, again do this. Okay, so like this, you keep repeating this loop. Okay, up to what point you are repeating this loop? Until this condition fails. So fails means false. So once it falls, you will not go here. Okay, it fails means you will not go here. You'll come to the false part. So false part will lead you to the operation, that is display the fact variable. Whatever is there in the fact will be displayed. Then you are going to stop it. Okay, so that ends your program. Okay, this is a flow chart for the program that we discussed just now. Okay, so hope it's clear, and thank you one and all.